Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is the biggest airport and the busiest in East Africa. It is located in Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya. It is in Embakasi suburbs 18 kilometers southeast from the central business district. It has flights scheduled for different destinations all over the world, flying to more than 50 countries. The park was initially known as Embakasi Airport. It was changed to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in 1978 to honor the first President and Prime Minister of Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta. There are other three international airports: Kisumu International Airport, Moi International Airport, and Eldoret International Airport. The plans of establishing an airport was initiated way back in 1945. The British, who colonized the East Africa countries, had to weigh between rehabilitating the existing Eastleigh Airport or constructing a new airport. The British decided to establish a new airport at Embakasi, with much of the work which was to be done on the runway being done through forced labor by Mau Mau rebels. They were subjected to a lot of hard work, for the British wanted to complete the airport using the shortest time possible. Majority of those Mau Mau rebels died on the site due to the exhaustion. Many of the workers on this site are reported to have committed suicide or self-mutilation due to poor working conditions. There are other two airports within Nairobi, which are Wilson Airport and Eastleigh Airport. There is clear visibility of the runway with little obstruction, and on a clear day it is possible to see Mount Meru in Tanzania, which is 220 kilometers, Mount Kilimanjaro, which is 213 kilometers, and Mount Kenya. It was opened on Sunday, March 9, 1958 by the last colonial governor of Kenya, Sir Evelyn Baring. The Queen Elizabeth, the mother, was supposed to attend and grace the occasion, but her aircraft developed a problem in Australia and the Queen failed to attend the ceremony. The runway was improved from 2,432 meters Marham runway of Eastleigh, which was difficult during the rainy months. The Embakasi Airport was improved to 3,048 meters. Terminals. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has two terminals, at Terminal 1. This terminal is divided into four parts arranged in semicircular, arranged in 1A, 1B, 1C and 1E. This terminal is used for international arrivals and departures. The terminal which is used for both domestic arrivals and departures is Terminal D. Terminal 2 is used by low-cost carriers, with the other original terminal, also referred to as Old Embakasi, is used by Kenya Air Force. Records from Kenya Airport Authority show that the Terminal 1A has a capacity of 2.5 million passengers, with the Kenyan government targeting 25 million by 2025. This terminal has 30 checking-in counters, within it are 12 departure gates, and several food retail shops. At the arrivals point there are 5 baggage carousels. This area is used mainly by SkyTeam Airlines. Within Jomo Kenyatta International there is also Terminal 1B, which has check-in counters with security checkpoints to process for the departure of passengers. Terminal 1C. This terminal is commonly used as check-ins counters. It has security checks that leads to departure lounge on level 1. At this point of level 1 it has duty-free shops, a cafe, Kenya Airways Symbol Lounge and the Turkish Airlines Lounge. Terminal 1D, this is used for domestic flights serving both arriving and departing passengers. It is occupied by Jambo Jet and its parent company Kenya Airways. Terminal 1E, this is used purely for international arrivals. This terminal was opened to serve passengers arriving on airlines that are out of Terminal 1B and 1C. On the second floor of Terminal 1A there are several lounges such as, the Symbol Lounge, Pride Lounge. The two lounges can host at least 350 people. There are also lounges that can be accessed by elite status or a paid pass, such as Swissport Aspire Lounge and Turkish Airlines TOF Lounge. Other offices and facilities within the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport are, Ameka at Terminal 1A Level 2, which is a restaurant offering Kenyan and African cuisine. Hardee's American fast food chain outlet at Terminal 1A. It hosts the head office of American Express Airways and the head office of Kenya Airports Authority, JKIA. Some of the airlines operating at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport: Air Arabia, Air France, Air India, Air Mauritania, Air Tanzania, African Express Airways, Egypt Air, Dalo Airlines, British Airways, Airlink, China Southern Airlines, Emirates, Ethiopia Airlines, Jambojet, Juba Airways, Fly 540, Kenya Airways, Malawi Airlines, Lufthansa, KLM, Precision Air, LAM Mozambique Airlines, Qantas Airways, Qatar Airways, Rwandair, Saudi, South African Airways, Turkish Airlines, Uganda Airlines. Cargo airlines at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport are Cargolux, Emirates Sky Cargo, Astral Aviation, Martin Air, Lufthansa Cargo, FedEx Express, Egypt Air Cargo, Singapore Airline Cargo, Saudi Cargo, Qatar Airways Cargo, Network Airline Management, Turkish Cargo, Silkway Airlines. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has its main entrance at Airport South Road, which can be accessed from Mombasa Road Highway or the 2022 Nairobi Expressway, which connects the city with the airport with no turn or traffic. There is also an option of traveling to and from the city by bus route number 34, a taxi or by rented car services which are readily available. A proposal has been made for a link from Nairobi commuter rail network has been proposed. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, is under the management of Kenya Airports Authority, KIA. It has an elevation of 1,624 meters and it is a hub for Kenya Airways, Jambojet, Fly 540 and African Express Airways. How to access the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport? The airport is 18 kilometers from the Nairobi Central Business District and the approximate time through Mombasa Road is 30 to 60 minutes. You can also use the expressway toll road, which is 25 minutes and less busy than Mombasa Road. The toll of the expressway, you have to pay at JKIA station. A public bus transport operates the city to the airport Terminal 1 and 2, bus number 34. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is an international airport serving Nairobi, the capital and largest city of Kenya. The other three important international airports in Kenya include Kisumu International Airport, Moi International Airport and Eldoret International Airport. JKIA is located in the Embakasi suburb 18 kilometers, 11 miles, southeast of Nairobi's central business district. The airport has scheduled flights to destinations in over 50 countries. Originally named Embakasi Airport, the airport's name was changed in 1978 after Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya's first president and prime minister. The airport served over 7 million passengers in 2016, making it the seventh busiest airport in passenger traffic on the continent. The postal code for Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, is 00501. Discussions about building the airport date back to 1945. At that time, the colonial power Britain and its national airline, BOAC, were worried that the existing airport at Eastleigh was inadequate for post-war civilian airliners. The costs of improving Eastleigh versus developing a new airport occupied planners for 8 years. Who would pay was a major issue. Plans for the airport were drawn up in 1953, work started in January 1954, and by mid-1957 it was found possible to bring the operational date forward to mid-March 1958. The task was by no means straightforward, and many problems largely of a civil engineering nature had to be overcome before the runway could be built. An extensive amount of the airport's construction was done utilizing forced labor, many of whom were the suspects of the Mau Mau sect. Due to the enormous pressure to finish the airport and the high amount of labor necessary, it was not uncommon to work the laborers to the point where some of them died of exhaustion. The working conditions were so poor that were reports of suicides and self-mutilation among the laborers. The site chosen, on a lava plain 18 kilometers, 11 miles, from the center of Nairobi, the city's two other airports, Eastleigh and Wilson, are closer, has approaches free from any obstruction for at least 18 kilometers 11 miles in any direction. The nearest mountain, high ground, would be a misnomer when Embakasi itself is 1,624 meters, 5,328 feet, AMSL, 40 kilometers 25 miles away, and 10 degrees off the runway center line. Visibility rarely falls below this obstruction distance in the clear air of the plains, and it may have been possible to see the summit of Mount Meru in northern Tanzania, about 220 kilometers 140 miles away, both Kilimanjaro 213 kilometers 132 miles away, and Mount Kenya could be clearly seen. On Sunday, March 9, 1958, Embakasi Airport, now JKIA, was opened by the last colonial governor of Kenya, Sir Evelyn Baring. The airport was due to be opened by Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. However, she was delayed in Australia due to an engine failure on her Qantas Lockheed Super Constellation aircraft. Due to this, the Queen was unable to attend the ceremony. The 3,048 meters, 10,000 feet, runway at the then Embakasi Airport was a big improvement on Eastleigh's 2,432 meters, 7,979 feet, Murrum runway, which in the rainy months was unsuitable for Britannias. The runway was 3,048 meters, 10,000 feet, long between thresholds, and was sided roughly 06-24. The 06 approach was used on 90% of the time. A basic strip 3,292 meters, 10,801 feet, long and 152 meters, 499 feet, wide was prepared for the 46 meters, 151 feet, wide runway. There were 8 meters, 26 feet, shoulders each side, and consequently 48 meters, 157 feet, run-offs beyond the shoulders. After cambering, weak spots were reset, and finally paving machinery was used to lay the asphalt surface. The result was an engineering success of which the contractors were very proud. So accurate was the cambering that the wet surface of the runway dried out evenly on each side of the center line. Physically, the great care taken in the engineering resulted in a load classification number of 100 being achieved. The surface at the time was strong enough to accept the Boeing 707 at maximum gross weight, although 4,572 meters, 15,000 feet, rather than 3,048 meters, 10,000 feet, length was the probable all-weather length requirement. There was no physical limit to extending the paved length to this figure, but more definite plans for the operation of the big jets into Kenya was required before such an increase was contemplated. At the time in 1958, Nairobi was one of the few towns in the world that could boast of a 1965 airport with an expansion option at hand. The number of aircraft movements then was less than 600 per month. The airport architect was strongly influenced by the design of Clayton, Zurich, in the planning and design of Embakasi, although similarities were by no means obvious. Both airports are arranged so that arrival passengers can see completely through the building. The minimum of signs is required. And although Embakasi was designed to meet Nairobi's particular needs, both airports shared a lightness and spaciousness that was at the time extraordinarily refreshing. The fitting and color schemes employed at the then Embakasi Airport were first class. In 1972, the World Bank approved funds for further expansion of the airport, including a new international and domestic passenger terminal building, the airport's first dedicated cargo and freight terminal, new taxiways, associated aprons, internal roads, car parks, police and fire stations, a state pavilion, airfield and roadway lighting, fire hydrant system, water, electrical, telecommunications and sewage systems, a dual carriageway passenger access road, security, drainage and the building of the main access road to the airport, Airport South Road. The total cost of the project was over $29 million, $111.8 million in 2013 dollars. On March 14, 1978, construction of the current terminal building was completed on the other side of the airport's single runway and opened by President Kenyatta.
The airport was again renamed, this time in honor of President Kenyatta after his death about 5 months later on August 22, 1978. In October 1993, a British Airways Concorde landed at the airport for purposes of testing the aircraft's performance at high altitude. On June 10, 2008, Kenya Vision 2030 was launched by President Mwai Kibaki. Under the vision, JKIA's aging infrastructure was to be upgraded to world-class standards. New terminals and runway upgrades were to be added in phases. The African Development Bank carried out an environmental impact assessment on the development of Phase 1 of the proposed Greenfield Terminal, GFT, which was expected to increase the capacity of JKIA to about 18.5 million passengers annually by the year 2030. The Greenfield Terminal project was to encompass the construction of a 4-level terminal building comprising a central processing area, a transit hotel, landside retail centers, arrivals and departures plaza. Ancillary facilities which would have included an access road, car parking, access taxiways, ground service equipment, GSE, and bus parking areas. On March 29, 2016, the KES $56 billion, $560 million Greenfield Terminal project was terminated by Kenya Airports Authority because the contractor failed to secure funds, thus ending Kenya's vision of having the largest terminal in Africa. In February 2017, the airport was awarded a Category 1 status by the Federal Aviation Administration of the United States, thus allowing possible direct flights between the U.S. and Nairobi. 5 other African countries have direct flights to the U.S., South Africa, Ethiopia, Egypt, Morocco, and Cabo Verde. On August 7, 2013, a fire originating in the immigration area caused massive damage to the airport and forced it to suspend operations temporarily. Unit 3, usually dedicated to domestic operations, was used temporarily for international traffic. The worst fire in the airport's history occurred on the 15th anniversary of the 1998 United States Embassy bombings in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam, but no connection was immediately obvious and no terrorist group has claimed responsibility. The cause is not believed to be intentional, as no explosive devices were discovered during the initial investigation. According to Kenyan officials, firefighting efforts were hampered by some of the first responders choosing to loot the airport instead of fighting the blaze. International arrivals had been bused to a temporary facility set up in the ground floor of the new parkade until the reconstruction of the damaged areas. In June 2015, a new, fully functional temporary terminal building became operational. This terminal building was planned for a design life of 10 years, until completion of the planned new permanent facility. There are 2 terminals. Terminal 1 is arranged in a semicircular orientation and is divided into 4 parts, 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1E are used for international arrivals and departures, while Terminal 1D is used for domestic departures and arrivals. Terminal 2 is used by low-cost carriers. The original terminal, located on the north side of the runway, is used by the Kenya Air Force and is sometimes referred as Old Embakasi Airport. Figures from JKIA indicate that the airport's Terminal 1A has a capacity of 2.5 million passengers. The Kenyan government is targeting over 25 million passengers annually by 2025 on the expansion of JKIA's terminals. In 2016, JKIA accounted for more than 70% of overall passenger traffic in the country. It also had over 7 million passengers pass through it. Domestic travelers through the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, made up 40% of overall passengers in 2016. This is an increase from 32% 5 years prior, 2012. Terminal 1A International Departures and Arrivals. Terminal 1A has a capacity of 2.5 million passengers a year and 3 levels, 30 check-in counters, 12 departure gates, ample seating and food and retail options. The arrivals area houses 5 baggage carousels. This terminal is used primarily by SkyTeam member airlines. Terminal 1B International Departures. Terminal 1B houses common use check-in counters, with security checkpoints leading to the departure lounge on Level 1. On Level 1 is the Aspire Lounge as well as duty-free shopping outlets and cafes. Terminal 1C International Departures. This terminal houses common use check-in counters, with security checkpoints leading to the departure lounge on Level 1. On Level 1 are duty-free shops, Kenya Airways Simba Lounge and the Turkish Airlines Lounge and a cafe. Terminal 1D Domestic Flights. Serves departing and arriving passengers on domestic flights. Occupied only by Kenya Airways and its subsidiary, Jambojet. Terminal 1E International Arrivals. Following the closure of the main international arrivals and departures terminal after a fire, a parking facility was converted into the temporary international arrivals terminal. This terminal was subsequently opened to serve arriving passengers on airlines operating out of Terminals 1B and 1C. Note, remodeling and extending Terminals 1B, 1C and 1D is scheduled for 2017, after which JKIA is predicted to be able to handle 12M passengers. Terminal 2 Low-Cost Carriers. Serves mainly low-cost carrier airlines, LCCs. The prefabricated terminal opened in April 2015 with a capacity of 2.5M passengers, originally intended to relieve overcrowding. Terminal 2 houses international and domestic check-in desks and boarding gates. Current lounges at Terminal 2 include the Mara Lounge and Mount Kenya Lounge, both at airside, Level 1 and open 24 hours. In January 2015, the Simba Lounge and Pride Lounge, which are situated on the second floor of Terminal 1A, were opened. The two facilities, with a combined capacity of 350 people, were developed at a cost of Ks $135 million, $1.35 million, and are for the use of KQ's Premier World and SkyTeam's Sky Priority passengers. There is also a Turkish Airlines TAF Lounge, T1B, as well as the Swissport Aspire Lounge, T1C. Both are regular lounges, which can be accessed by elite status or a paid pass. In January 2017, a new instrument landing system equipped runway 5,500 meters, 18,000 feet, in length was approved for construction at a cost of Ks 37 billion shillings, approximately $370 million US. According to JKIA's managing director John Anderson, construction of the new runway, which will be bigger than the existing one, was scheduled to begin in 2017. It will also double aircraft movement from 25 to 45 per hour. The new runway will be a Category 2 runway and will complement the older runway built in the 1970s. The proposed design of the project is a 4.8 kilometers, 3.0 miles, long and 75 meters, 250 feet, wide runway. The current runway is 60 meters, 200 feet, wide and 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles, long. This is an ICAO Code F which can handle the new generation wide-bodied aircraft like the Airbus A380 and the Boeing 747-8. The new runway will have fog lights. The current runway is only lit at the sides. The runway will also enable long-haul flights to destinations like New York City carrying up to 32 tons of passengers and cargo. However, as of 2023, construction of this new runway does not appear to have begun. Ameka, a restaurant offering authentic Kenyan and African cuisine, has its store in Terminal 1A Level 2. American fast food chain Hardee's has an outlet at JKIA Terminal 1A. African Express Airways has its head office on the airport property. The Kenya Airports Authority also has its head office at the airport. The main entrance to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is on Airport South Road, which can be accessed by an exit from the A109 highway, Mombasa Road. As well as the new 2022 expressway which can connect travelers to the airport with no turns or traffic from the city. Passengers can also travel to and from the airport via city bus route number 34. On December 7, 2020, a rail link to central Nairobi went into operation. On November 20, 1974,
Lufthansa Flight 540, a Lufthansa Boeing 747-130, DABYB, LH540, Hessen, German state, delivered 1970, crashed on takeoff from runway 24 in Nairobi, killing 59 of the 157 on board. The aircraft was on a flight from Frankfurt to Nairobi, then Johannesburg. This was the first fatal accident and third hull loss of a Boeing 747. On May 17, 1989, a Boeing 707-330B operated by Somala Airlines aborted takeoff and then overran the wet runway and crashed into a rice field. The plane had 70 passengers and crew on board, but no fatalities resulted. The airplane was damaged beyond repair. On December 4, 1990, a Boeing 707-321C freighter operated by Sudania Air Cargo struck an electricity pole 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, short of runway 06 and crashed in flames. Visibility was 500 meters, 1,600 feet, in fog with a 30 meters, 98 feet, cloud base. All 10 persons on board died. The airplane was damaged beyond repair. On June 6, 2012, Egypt Air Flight 849, an Airbus A320, blew a tire while landing and veered off runway 06. Portions of the aircraft obstructed the runway, necessitating closure of the airport. Inbound flights were diverted to other airports in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. None of the 123 passengers and crew was injured. On July 2, 2014, a Fokker 50 crashed after takeoff due to a mechanical failure, killing all 4 people on board. On January 4, 2015, a Fokker 50 carrying 6 people crashed after a landing gear failure. Of the 6 on board, no injuries were reported. Jomo Kenyatta Airport was temporarily closed and all flights were diverted to Moi International Airport, Mombasa. Thank you for watching this video.